speak the words of reason. Just how deep was this chasm? Pressed up against the construction fence, Chiaki couldn't get that question out of mind. Was there a shell beyond that darkness, encasing this strange world? Or was there nothing, and falling into that would drop her into the endless void beyond? Not even the bright light of Kagutsuchi could illuminate those depths. It was a strange light, to be sure. It wasn't sunlight illuminating things as they were. Nor was it moonlight, making the mundane mysterious. It was like everything else in this world in that it looked almost right, but was completely wrong. And there was something more about it, something she couldn't put a finger on. Was it the way it waxed and waned so quickly? Was it the way it was never steady, microcycles of gain and loss that happened quicker than she could blink? She could look directly at it unlike the sun, but that filled her head with strange thoughts. How would she build her own world?
Hold it!
A voice came from overhead. A group of 3 high pixies were there, just out of Persephone's reach.
You're trespassing on our territory. You don't belong here. I am not trespassing,
Chiaki said, irritated at the light, irritated at the fairies, irritated at this world. She wouldn't say it, but how dare they constrain her?
I'm outside your fence. Leave me be. You're too close. It counts as trespassing,
one of them said.
Yeah, unless you mean to make a reason we'd support. You should keep to yourself,
another said.
I wouldn't make a reason for you, little,
she argued, but then a stomp of her foot broke the frail ground beneath her. Chiaki screamed and tried to grab onto the fence. She was too late and slipped into the chasm. Lavender wings rushed across her visions, and someone caught her.
Hang on, I'll take you past them,
Persephone said. Chiaki pulled herself closer, not sure how to hang on.
What? Why didn't you say you could fly? I can't,
Persephone said.
Not unless it's the only way to save you from certain death. I have been charged with ensuring your survival until you can ascend to Kagutsuchi, with everything required to make a new world. That is my duty.
Thankfully, Persephone took her past the roadblock that was Yoyogi Park, off to an old shrine well away from the fairies. It looked undamaged from the conception, sand spread across the stairs as if it had simply been abandoned one day.
At least we're somewhere new, without having to use the terminals,
Chiaki said.
But where is this? The Bandu Shrine,
Persephone explained.
The remains of Asakusa are beyond here, but it is a longer walk than from Shinjuku to Shibuya. Well, I could use a moment to collect myself, she said, trying not to admit to how much that fall had scared her. Chiaki went up to the stairs, thinking she could distract herself by looking around. There was a rope with jagged strands of paper across it. Never understood what this was about,
she said, taking one end off a nail in the frame.
That's because it does nothing to ordinary humans,
Persephone said.
It represents a divide between the spiritual and mundane, to keep a passage between them sacred or separate. This particular arrangement completely prevents those of demonic powers from entering this place. Just rope and some paper?
She was able to pull it aside easily, leaving the rope to dangle from its other nail.
Things that seem to be mere symbols to you are objects of great import to the supernatural,
she said.
Now anyone may come and go from this place as they please. It doesn't seem like a big deal,
Chiaki said, pushing the door aside. There wasn't much inside here. Candles, prayer boxes, and other religious items were kept around a stone statue of a powerful man. Back in the normal world, Chiaki had never thought this all was important. Sure, it might be worth a little to offer some spare change in hopes of a small favor, but its worth was in self-assurance. Now she was expected to call out for a god with a mystical power for an unimaginable task. But was this a god? The statue reminded him of some jocks who took up old martial arts in an effort to look cooler. Her skin tingled. Something changed in the room. Before she could identify what, the gray statue was washed in rich colors. When the gray was all gone, his chest took in breath and his clothes shifted to take on the properties of fabric. His arms twitched, slow in regaining mobility.
Why did you unseal this shrine? It wasn't a strong seal,
Chiaki said.
Anyone could have taken that off. Not anyone, just an ordinary human,
he said.
Why? I wanted to look around, that's all.
He didn't have to be offended at that. And why call her ordinary? She had been chosen. Granted, it might have been a fluke that she was. But she had been chosen, and that made her special.
You should not break into a shrine for such little purpose,
he warned.
I am Bishamon, a guardian of Tokyo. I await one of great power to arrive. Leave this place and put the seal back as it was. Well, how are you going to find someone of great power if that's your only obstacle?
Chiaki said. This guy was bluffing, but he didn't have to belittle her.
They will bring me the proof I require,
Bishamon said.
Besides, I cannot answer to an ordinary and weak human who cannot survive without their own guardian. Take the role given to you and leave. Well, excuse me for not being what you expected,
she said, storming out of the shrine and shutting the door firmly behind her. All these demons were so vain and violent, even though they could not exist in the world that had been. Maybe even Naoki was secretly that way. Maybe that was why he'd been transformed like that. But he had to have some power greater than her in order to command the respect of the demons that followed him unquestioningly.
Are you going to replace the seal?
Persephone asked as they went down the stairs.
I cannot. No,
he said angrily.
Let his shrine be invaded if he's going to be that rude to me. What is wrong with this world? You all keep treating me like I'm important because I can come up with a reason behind all this nonsense, but then also treat me like I'm worthless in terms of power. That is the way demons see things,
she said. Chiaki grumbled and looked up at Kagutsuchi. She hated that light. She hated all this, and yet it gave her a bizarre idea.
Well, what about that cathedral place, huh? They fuse demons together. Can they fuse a demon and human together? Then they wouldn't look down on me so much.
Strangely, Persephone nodded.
It can be done. However, that negates the reason that you are important in.
She looked over to her.
And what's that? That you can create a reason behind all this nonsense, as you say,
she said.
Only a pure human being can conceive of a reason to base a world upon. If it would better protect you, and if it what you would wish, I would not mind being fused to you to grant you my powers. But as a servant of Kagutsuchi, I must refuse to do so unless you choose a reason to bear. Only then can you move away from humanity if that will better meet your goals. So I just have to pick my reason soon?
Chiaki asked. While it had seemed bizarre at first, she would appreciate more respect. Perhaps she could gain even more than she had once had. The light of Kagutsuchi seemed to say it could be so.
We have a long walk to the next town. We could find a cathedral in,
Persephone said.
Think it through and be sure of your choice.
What would be an appropriate reason to create a world she'd feel comfortable in? The good question had been looming behind her this whole time. But she really would feel better if she wasn't so helpless. That meant taking that question seriously and finding her reason to bear. When the full Kagutsuchi passed, Angel became silent. Naoki couldn't help but feel appalled at the way he'd tricked her into the contract. He could feel other angels watching, knowing their orders but keeping their distance due to her presence. While she had offered herself, it felt like it was against her will. No, it's more against the will of her god. She has the barest suggestion of a will herself, only cracking open under the influence of Kagutsuchi. It made him feel like a creep, guilty as charged. But with the Magatama's knowledge, Naoki realized something dangerous. Angel had no will, only an extension of the will of her god. Did that mean that the god who ordered her to kill him on sight had a direct connection to observe him through? It could not be good for him. Fortunately, an opportunity presented itself when they entered the underground area of Ginza. Den clucked in curiosity and flew ahead to investigate this new space.
Angel, would you go keep an eye on Zen?
He asked.
Make sure she doesn't get in trouble, as the Nihilo demons are strict.
She said, then flew after the wilder bird. He had to finish these thoughts quickly while Angel was out of hearing.
Girls, I don't trust Angel,
he said quietly to Huapo and Pixie.
Zen's not a problem, but I want to fuse Angel immediately. But would taking her out of the divine clan take away her connection to her god entirely? It should, unless you manage to fuse her into another divine.
High Pixie said.
Or into a seraph, but I really doubt that can be done by accident. I wouldn't know, but she might be right there.
Huapo said reluctantly. She then glanced around and whispered,
The god of law is scary. We might have made a mistake to take one of his followers along. Well, I trust you both, and I hope you can override her in whatever you become.
Naoki said.
Jen might not be able to betray us as she's basically an animal, but then it's less certain that she could counter Angel. Right, I wouldn't count on a wilder being enough.
High Pixie said. Huapo tilted her head.
Well, as nice as it is to hear you trust me that much, I was kind of hoping that I could get fused with Zen. She's my groupie, you see, and I feel like only good things could come out of that. If you feel that way, it might be,
Naoki said.
I'm willing to fuse with Angel.
High Pixie said.
I won't let you down. I'll keep her in check. Thank you, High Pixie,
he said, nodding. With that decided, they hurried ahead to where Angel was watching Zen follow after one of the horses. Naoki apologized to the guard to the horseman's disdain, then brought his group into the Cathedral of Shadows. As soon as he entered, he knew that his horn was blocking out information contained within the cathedrals. The room was taller than it should be, filled with shadows delineated by shafts of soft blue light. In the center of the room, high pillars of an unnatural smoothness dominated the room with power. Demon fusion was an art painted with many factors. Knowledge of many demons was required.
Welcome to the Cathedral of Shadows,
the minister said while Naoki's eyes were still closed.
You are an unusual visitor, one with a human heart beating within a demon body. Am I still?
The answers were there, but needed to be shifted out.
Qualified for your services?
He sensed the minister nod.
You're the leader of your troop, are you not? You hold a contract with these four, none of whom have a contract with each other. We of this cathedral are permitted to serve demons who bear such authority. After all, state your demon name and clan for me. Demi-fiend,
he replied, then took a deep breath. Licking his lips cleared out the last of the initial intake, allowing him to face the minister properly.
I suspected as much,
the minister said. He wore dark glasses and formal robes. There was a sense that he served all qualified visitors equally and would not judge what they asked for.
The clan of fiends is a highly exclusive group, well within our allowances for clientsa. Special ceremony is required to summon any of you, even through the process of fusion. This must be your first time visiting a cathedral. Would you like me to explain about our services? High Pixie here has explained a fair amount to me already,
Naoki said.
You know the ceremony required for your art, so once I have been accepted by your group, I only need bring the demons to you and pay if special requirements are necessary. That is a simple overview, enough to begin with,
he said, giving a bow.
What would you like to start with? Fuse High Pixie and Angel,
he replied. That was most important. The minister nodded.
As you wish. Send your demons into the hollows within these pillars. Go on,
Naoki said, looking to the two.
Alright, won't let you down,
High Pixie said, sounding carefree. But he could taste her will to follow his ha. She was no bound angel, having chosen to serve.
As you wish,
Angel said, not caring one way or another. She didn't seem to realize his intentions in this. She possibly couldn't. Once they were in place, the minister held out both of his hands, palms up.
To prove your contract with these two, place your hands upon mine. Then I may begin.
Naoko nodded and followed his instructions. A temporary bond between him and the minister emerged. He could feel the man making a light touch on his power to affirm his qualifications. And in that, he visualized a woman in clothes of ancient Japanese culture. Megami Uzumai. She had talent in force magic, both in using it and draining it. She also resisted expel, the power of angels. Good. High Pixie's will was dominant, of course, but would be remolded to fit within a goddess. While she had innate skills, she was inheriting some from High Pixie and Angel. Uzume already knew Media and Mazan. Mazia would still be useful. Angel's Hama was deadly to him, but would be equal parts useful with a demon in contract with him. She should take those. The minister pulled his hands back. Please.
Well now. You're an exceptional guest to influence my arts so easily. Very well, I will follow your plan.
He put his hands to his mouth and quietly added,
"And wise decision on part of Angel's frail will and higher connections."
Turning his attention to his work, the minister faced the demons at the altar and raised his palms to them. Naoki closed his eyes and tried to follow the arcane workings. Respect for the ceremony involved was required. Humans had the most powerful free will of all creation. Demons were bound to the frame of their myths and constrained with required personalities. Remaking two demons to fit a different frame made the result more powerful than would naturally occur. But if the traits of the two demons involved were at odds with each other, they would end up in the failed body of a slime demon. I'm not constrained by a demonic frame. I'm freed by my human willpower to adapt to whatever is required of me. And my demon body means that I can truly fulfill what I desire. That is, once my Magatama are all within me. I remember being told that, or overhearing it.
Sir?
The minister said. Naoki shook his head, coming out of the sudden trance.
Sorry. Your power reminded me of something. Ah,
he said, probably for lack of response.
The fusion was successful, precisely as you visualized. I can confirm that no link back to the God of Law remains. Thank you,
Naoki said, looking to Uzumi. She had an impish smile that was like Hot Pixie at full Kagutsuchi. He felt more relaxed, like he could trust this.
Yes, I am Uzume of the Megami clan,
she said, reaffirming their contract.
I will not fail you. I know,
he said. When he went to fuse Huopo and Zen, he found the skills more slippery. He wanted to keep her Agi or Miraji spells, but the resulting demon did not have much skill with magic. Naoki wondered for a moment if this was what Huopo really wanted. As she had no hesitation, he decided it was more important to keep Zen's war cries priority. He could use fire breath now, so it wasn't a lacking like failing to pass down. Mazia would be. The end demon took war cry far easier than the Aegis too. He tried to pay more attention this time. Huopo and Zen became clouded in black, seemingly vaporized by the process. That was Magatui too, he realized, affected by being within the souls of demons. As their Magatui combined, it reformed into a new existence, souls changing frames. What emerged had no wings, with a body larger than either of its sources. Blue and gray armor covered the body of a warrior who was more ancient than Uzume here.
Ha! I am Momunafu of the Brute clan,
he said, spinning his new spear.
Let's go kick some ass. You'll be doing that,
Naoki said, smiling a bit. At least he seemed happy enough. Uzume put a hand to her cheek.
Oh? This is what you thought would be most fitting. Yes, now I'm far more useful and awesome,
Momunafu said, stepping out of the pillars. And the arguments would continue.
You're both fulfilling even more different roles now,
Naoki said.
I'm counting on you both. Yes, sir,
Momunafu said.
Of course,
Uzume said.
I will let the other ministers know you are a most worthy client,
the minister said.
Also, Demi, I believe you are searching for sources of demonic power called Magatama.
Was that something he sensed in the ceremonies or earlier?
Yes, they belong to me. They are a mystery to us of the cathedral, even as much as we know. However, we have examined one, and believe that one who is capable of retrieving all 24 is worthy of a secret we guard. Please keep that in mind. Where is the one you had?
He asked before he could think twice. The compulsion to acquire them demanded it without words.
It has been passed to a guardian allied with our group,
he explained.
Winning a challenge against him is part of a test of your worthiness to us. All right. Thanks for telling me, he said, clamping down on the disappointment that the minister or one of his peers didn't have it anymore. Come on, you both. We need to speak with Nyx again.
What made a good reason to make a world? Kagutsuchi, illuminate this mystery for me. I will play by your rules. Family was very important, but her family had lost a great deal of power, wealth, and respect. They left her with only memories of former glory, pushed her to recapture that glory, and make them great once again. Respecting your elders and upholding the family legacy was important, but such ideals smothered Chiaki. She wanted to be free of that, cast aside their shriveled husk to create her own glory to enjoy. The light of Kagutsuchi made those hidden feelings so clear she felt blessed to note them. As much as she knew that she should be glorious, very few people acknowledged that about her. Classmates were envious, snubbing her when she was more valuable than them, even with a musty old family heritage. When she hoped to be acknowledged for her assets, she was passed over for those of lesser talents. She was top in their class, but Miss Takao seemed to favor Naoki. Naoki listened to Chiaki, but he never tried to flirt with her to match up with the rumors. Why did she have to work so hard to shine for nothing when others of lesser light were praised? People should acknowledge her, they should acknowledge those who deserved it. And they should stop praising and acknowledging those of lesser ability. It was a fact of nature, wasn't it? The strong survived and the weak were cast aside. But human society tried to embrace all and got weighed down by worthless husks, just like she did. It was said that beauty was part of a woman's power. Chiaki had good looks, she had the smarts to excel, and she was destined to be great. Yet no one else would admit that. She wanted a world where a person's strengths were recognized. Those who failed to have true strength would be passed by. Those who excused ugliness and unfairness would be shown the folly of their ways. Your family did not matter, only your own merits. In that kind of world, she would finally get the recognition she deserved. That is the world of Ao.
Yosuga.
Ripples spread throughout the vortex world. A word of purpose had been spoken. There was now a direction that could be taken. The word even pierced the protected silence of Nihailo's Ginza facility. The words of Amala intensified, acknowledging the next step of conception. With this word, Kagutsuchi would change. It might be subtle, but creation was emerging. Now it waited other directions, other possibilities. Raising his head, Hikawa chuckled.
One of the children has finally grasped for power. I've been patient, young ones, but now that you have spoken, so shall I. I will play by your rules, Kagutsuchi. I always have. Let us continue your ceremony.
There was a thrill to this moment, when a new adversary decided to speak against him in a foolhardy challenge. This time, they really didn't know what they were doing. Hikawa did not lose. He made sure that he didn't. However, that wasn't important to his reason. The best thing about adversaries was the silence that followed their defeat. They could struggle all they liked, cry and scream, shout and accuse, but it was all just more noise to pollute the world. In that noise, a person couldn't think right. They didn't speak their minds, they spoke according to what society demanded. Noisy people thought they should be served, but they only served to disrupt those of true brilliance. If they would all just be silent, the world could have progressed out of its mindless cycles and become something truly brilliant. When the vortex world is silent, this truth was powerfully illuminated by the light of Kagutsuchi. This world of silent serenity that he saw as perfection was
Shijima.
The words of Amala vibrated on the drum once again.
What is this?
Isamu mumbled.
Master, 2 reasons of creation have been named,
Pascal said.
Have you thought of what your reason to bear is? Nah, who has time for that nonsense?
He said, looking down at his companion. The dog wagged his tail, but Isamu barely saw it as he winced from a sharp pain in his head. Again? It would pass immediately if he turned his attention back to the terminal, but took an excruciating time to fade if he tried to take medicine for it, or sleep it off.
I've got to figure out where Miss Takao is to help her. I could probably find out anything else in creation, even down to Chiaki's underwear size. but that Hikawa jerk somehow has made some things classified to him alone.
Pascal whimpered.
But that is the reason you were chosen, to choose a reason. I don't care about their dumb rules. I didn't ask for this,
he said. He didn't ask to lose everything. No, he couldn't be thinking of that, or he'd turn into a sobbing weakling. Focus on what was there, go for something he could attain.
The only thing Amala lied to me about was where Naoki was. Maybe that's Hikawa's fault too.
He looked back to the terminal in time to see something change. It was responding to his statements as usual. This time it claimed that Naoki was in the Ginza underpass traveling to Ikebukuro. When he touched it, he even got an image of 3 people fighting a gang of slimes on a concrete path.
Naoki's alive,
Isamu shouted unintentionally. And he was headed this way. Then he paused, checking over the video feed more closely.
That's Naoki.
One of the 3 was a hot woman dressed like she was a historical actress. That clearly wasn't him. According to Amala, it was a demon called Uzume. Like the goddess Uzume, the one who lured Amaterasu out of a cave with the strip dance. Another of the 3 was a dude in equally ancient garb, mostly armor. Isamu didn't recognize him, but Amala claimed he was another mythological figure, Momonofu. And the 3rd was the fiend Demi, also named Kashima Naoki. He was almost naked save for his tight pants, something curious, because Naoki never seemed the exhibitionist sort. Although he had good reason to be, now that he had wicked black and glowing blue tattoos covering his body. It seemed like they were full-bodied too, from head to feet all over. And there was a black horn out of the back of his neck, something Amala identified as a demonic sensory organ that functioned like the more primal parts of the human brain.
Shit, Chiaki got the hot maid and now Naoki got the demonic transformation?
Isamu asked. But he couldn't be bitter about it for long.
Man, but I'm glad that you are alive, even if you're not entirely human anymore. If you're headed here, we can meet up as soon as you show. Maybe I'll dig a bit into this. Amala, why are Naoki and his companions coming here?
The drum made a symbol that indicated it was searching for events in the very recent past. It revealed that Naoki had been speaking to a lady in a sexy black dress at a bar. What was this? How was Naoki making all these connections with hot female demons? Maybe he picked up some skills on being turned into a demon. Isamu hoped he'd share that info.
I'm sure Yuko is the maiden that Nihilo has,
Naoki said. And when did he pick up permission to speak her name so casually? Wait, Nihilo. Wasn't that one of the big gangs of demons around?
And there's no way to sneak into that building. I thought not,
the lady in black said. Nix. Amala named her a goddess of night.
Go speak with Gozu Tenno. He leads the mantra in Ikebukuro and is no friend of the Nihilo. He could easily be talked into ordering an attack on Nihilo's operations here. You could help them, or sneak in amid the chaos to find the woman you seek.
Isamu bit his lip. He'd been searching for days to find Miss Takao through the Amala network. Days. And here Naoki had not only figured who she was with, but also got tips on how to reach her when Nihilo was keeping a tight grasp on her. Isamu had so much information at his fingertips, he should have figured it out first.
I can still help,
he muttered to himself. So Naoki wanted to speak with Gozu Tenno, the big-name demon who ruled here. Isamu could find out more about him, certainly. Also, he could get more information on the mantra headquarters while right under their noses. He'd observed the Oni and other demons who were a part of the gang when he snuck out to buy medicines and other things across the way. They seemed like dumb brutes, but they were brutes of immense power. But the right information would break them wide open. It happened in the video games he played, and he didn't see why it wouldn't work now. Isamu just wished he could be the hero of this story and get all the cool stuff instead. End of chapter.